Happy Monday and welcome back to Things We Like podcast with Andrew and Brooks. Brooks, how are we doing today?
Pretty good. I'm rested. This is not
Did you
sponsored
sleep
by.
finally?
Yeah, I did. But my dreams are always crazy as ever. Like I had a dream that my mom hated me and like disowned me pretty much, and like it was really sad because like my whole family went from like really really loving me to like all one day like they just stopped. They didn't even like me anymore. And I was like, oh my, what did I do? It was really sad. But
what in the world?
Yeah, dude, I slept, but I didn't rest. So
I meant to say this before we started recording, but like I got this. I wanted to show Chad I got this thing. It's a 8-bit do. Essentially it's a SN30 Pro. It's essentially a SNES controller that is got some joysticks on the bottom of it. This is my favorite controller form factor.
I love the size of it too. It's just like super compact.
Yeah.
It's just like
fits
looks like it fits in your hand. For people listening on Spotify, it's beautiful. So I can assure you.
Yeah, if you want to see a picture of it, it's the 8-bit Do SN30 Pro.
Gotcha.
So if you want to check it out, they're pretty cool. They're like $40.
That's cool.
Speaking of games,
yeah, today we have some gaming hot takes. Now, this episode is probably going to be a little bit shorter because Andrew and I...
was going to say, I feel like hot takes is, it's a
little out of our wheelhouse, but we have them and we want to experiment with like different topics. Not only that, but we can also return to this topic at a later date if we play more games and have more stuff. So, we like the, what is it? Sorry, my nose is... I'm like a little stuffy today. Stuffy. But we like the top 5 format. That's a good one. That kind of goes on a little long. So now we're kind of dipping our toes into topics that we can revisit that are a little more, a little less niche, a little more concentrated, I guess. I can't really articulate that well at the moment, but
just like stuff that's a little more opinion based and less
think PC, and like stuff that we can return to and talk about if people argue or disagree,
and then be like, I was stupid to say that.
Yeah.
six months later.
I've had some opinions. Look, the golden rule about opinions, it's okay to change your mind when presented with new information or a different perspective. That's key. You're not wishy-washy for that. It's always important to reevaluate what and how you think. So
also, I have fully expect some of our quote unquote hot takes to actually not be that hot, and they might be kind of lukewarm because
hey, that's fine.
I'm a pretty agreeable person as it stands.
Yeah,
so.
Andrew's takes are always like super based though. Like they're never really hot. But I'm excited to hear because I don't know what he has to say. So I'm kind of like very, very excited to hear what he has to say. So we usually flip a coin.
I'm going to bring 3 to the table as well.
Oh, good. Okay, well, if you've got 3 and I've got 3, all right, heads or tails?
Heads today.
Okay. Flip a coin. It's tails. Oh, she didn't say it, but...
She didn't say it. Booksy starts.
Okay, cool. So... my first hot take, I know a lot of people that watch us and watch what I do like Pokemon. So I'm going to say that the Versus Seeker is the most important item in Pokemon ever. And the fact that they got rid of it after Gen 4 is total horseshit. I think... Okay.
Explain what the Versus Seeker is to those that aren't super versed in Pokemon.
The Versus Seeker... is the item, it's like a key item that you could register it to like select. You hit it. Our drinks are both blue, by the way. Just noticed that. More important than Pokeballs? Yes. That's where the take gets super hot. Yes. Because you could register it to like select, you could walk around and you could either notice trainers that you haven't fought before or rematch trainers instantly that you've fought before. It takes like 100 steps to charge. It's really not that big a deal. But the reason that that's important, let me paint the scenario for you. So you're playing Pokemon Emerald, right? I've done this before. You go through the game, You fight every single trainer with a team of 6, and you're trying to build a team to beat the Elite Four. You know, you're doing like a casual playthrough, just doing it like the Lord intended, right? You get through Victory Road, and you're at the Indigo. Well, it's not Indigo Plateau in that game. It's Evergrande City in that game. So you get to Evergrande, and you got your full team of 6. What level are you? Probably, at best, level 42 to 44. What level are the Elite Four members? Like 46 to like 58.
Some of them are low 60s, upper 50s, I think. Right?
Yeah, and in games like Fire Red, they do get like your rival starter
65.
is like 63 or something, 61 or whatever. So what happens is, oh, damn it, I have to go grind in Victory Road or do the stupid mock call thing that you have in the Pokenav, and that's just random. It's like, hey, come battle me out on Route 124 or whatever.
Before
I
he
don't know.
Find you.
Yeah, and then you go back and you do that, and I gotta turn my phone off. Sorry, but then you go around and you basically just have to grind in the Elite Four cave, basically. And the EXP yield is way smaller on wild Pokemon than trainers Pokemon. Therefore, if you had the Versa Seeker, you could go fight like any trainer that you want that's outdoors. It can't be indoors. That's the only thing I don't like about it. Because usually good trainers are indoors in caves and stuff. But you can fight trainers. The only good way that I have found to grind in Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, in the original, not the remakes, is you fight Ty and Gabby, the reporters that show up on 3 separate routes. You essentially have to go and fight them because they're the only recurring trainers that show up. That give you enough, because they'll get like eventually like a Magaton and Exploud.
They get pretty strong.
Like
later,
level 42. The fact that I know that off the top of my head is like criminal. But I don't know the exact levels though. But they're high enough to where they can get you to like level 50 if you want to get there. But it takes forever. Another thing is in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, this is the best way that I've seen it implemented. You get to the Elite Four, you fought every trainer in Kanto, and your Pokemon's like level 42, 44 before you get to like the Elite Four, and you're like, oh, damn it, I want to grind again. The best place to grind, in my opinion, that I've found is you go to the Cycling Road, use the Versa Seeker, and you fight all of the bikers with the Weezing and Muck and Primeape and all those Pokemon that give really high EXP yields. Not only that, but you get decent, I think it's EVs, effort values, when you fight specific Pokemon. And I'm going to look it up. What EVs you get from Weezing. It's on Smogon, I think. Wait, no, it wouldn't be. But every Pokemon's got their own EV, like defense or HP or whatever. I think you get like HP and defense from Weezing and Muck. People will know. Sorry, had to clear my throat for like 2 seconds. But people will know. So all that to say, it also came back in Gen 4 and Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, which is amazing. But after that, it disappeared. So, in conclusion, the fact that you have to grind needlessly in Pokemon.
Yeah.
Now, they did introduce the experience share that like levels up everyone, but people hate that. You know, people don't want that. They want the challenge, they want the challenge to be there. But if you don't use the experience share,
I hate the experience share personally.
Oh, that could be a hot take because I love it.
I don't like it personally, but this also comes from me coming from earlier games and enjoying earlier games more. And I it could be a hot take, I guess. I enjoy the struggle of having to level up each Pokemon. I like the held item. The held item is cool. I think they introduced that in either second or third gen, or maybe it was fourth gen.
I think
it was the held
items were in Gen 2. There was an EXP all in red, blue, and yellow and green, but it was really shitty. So
no, yeah, the one I'm thinking of is the EXP share held item.
Yeah,
that you can give to people. I don't remember if that was second or third gen, but that's fine because I feel like that's helpful. But doing EXP all just out the gate is just annoying. It's just really boring.
Yeah, so that's where the argument for the Versus Seeker comes in, because if you had the Versus Seeker, you can essentially control the level of challenge that you have with a Pokemon game. For example, if you wanted to go in underleveled and challenge yourself, you can do that. If you wanted to grind up and have a bunch of Pokemon that were really good, you can do that. It gives you the ability of choice. So that is really nice. So that
I do have an actual Pokemon hot take.
Oh, okay.
To bounce off of that.
So mine is the Versus Seeker should be in every game, and the fact that they took it away so early after Gen 4, Gen 5. Oh my God, Gen 5 could have used that, because having Pokemon like Hydreigon that evolve at like level 65, like fuck you. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah, but that's my first hot take. So you transition to yours.
So my hot take, I don't even know if this is a hot take. I just kind of wanted to have this conversation, but I feel like either with Pokemon, Nintendo needs to come in and take the reins away from Game Freak as far as development, and either bring in another developer entirely, or they need to pair somebody to do the visuals for Game Freak, because I am sick and tired of these ass backward looking games, bro. I am tired of Pokemon games that don't work.
The people on Spotify can't see this, but I'm like raising my arms. I'm like, I want to know what love is. And it's just Andrew.
I am. It just makes me so mad, because like I want to love the games so much, and I get them and I'm so excited every single time, and then I start playing it and I'm like, maybe this will be the one, and it's not.
No,
and it hasn't been good in years.
I don't know who is to blame, honestly. I genuinely don't know who is to blame for the way that the newer, like, it kind of sort of started in Gen 6, where we sort of noticed that it's like, oh, there's a lack of quality control here. I still love Gen 6 personally, just for like
so I want to address Eli's comment in the chat real quick, because this pairs with it. Doesn't that require Nintendo to fundamentally change their stance on focusing on innovative gameplay over powerful hardware? No, because look at, if you compare it to even early games, let's look at Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey as examples of how good a game on the Switch can be and can look. Versus the most recent Pokemon game. And, I mean, there's just not a comparison to those. It's just somebody's not doing their job correctly, because the Switch can handle, obviously, Tears of the Kingdom was developed and Breath of the Wild and Odyssey are great counter examples, because they were made 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom was also developed at the same time as the new Pokemon games, and it looks insanely better.
Yeah, I don't know who exactly is I don't know if it's a Nintendo thing. I don't know if it's a Game Freak thing. I don't know if it's like
Game Freak thing, right?
Well, because like
they're the only ones that have any hand outside of Nintendo.
Right.
And we see when Nintendo has full control over a game, it always looks good. Up to what the Switch can handle. The gameplay is innovative. It tries new stuff but also generally keeps to the substance of the whatever respective franchise that it's going in. So Game Freak is the common denominator there of why all of the only Pokemon games are sucking.
Right. I think the one thing I don't understand is who controls the deadlines for the game. If you literally
Pokemon
had
Company, I guess.
maybe, but like whoever, I think a lot of the blame is the rush because, you know, Pokemon it is objectively the highest grossing franchise in the world. It's huge, makes so much money. And if they really truly cared about quality, like the games are going to sell regardless. That's the reason that they don't give a shit is because I enjoyed Scarlet and Violet enough. I think the games are shitty in their own way. Like the performance is shitty. The frame rates are shitty. It looks shitty for what it should be. And a lot of people are like comparing it to like Gale of Darkness and stuff like that. Because Gale of Darkness and Colosseum, they had like the 386 Pokemon in it or whatever.
Yeah.
But they all had like custom attacks and they would get hit and they'd have their own hit animations. Like you hit Umbreon, for example, and it like turns away and then it like comes back.
That's like the little details. That's the little details that they didn't do.
Yeah. If they had like, honestly, in my opinion, one more year, if you just delayed the games for like, I'm also looking up chat on my phone so I can see it, but like, if they delayed the games by like one more year, then like it would look and probably perform and probably be a much better game.
The other thing that pisses me off to no end about that game is if you look at, we'll do a 1-to-1 because they're more recent. If you look at a game like Scarlet and Violet versus Tears of the Kingdom, and when you go into a town in Scarlet and Violet versus when you go into a town in Tears of the Kingdom,
right?
The people are there. They're not generic. It doesn't feel like you're walking through soup the moment that you hit a town. Because straight up, it feels like you walk into gelatin the moment you walk into a town.
Oh, Andrews. Damn it.
Because it's true. But then like in Tears of the Kingdom, there's all of these different characters, people you can talk to, like shops you can go in and have conversations.
That's the short.
The shops are individual.
That's the I'm sorry to cut you off. That's holy shit. That's good. Dude, when you walk through the town and the Sunflowers are following you, they're like robots.
Go. Dude, it's crazy. How does that pass QC, right? How in the world does that pass QC?
I couldn't tell you. Just a side note, fuck Sword and Shield. I hate those games. Unrelated.
I liked it more than Scarlet and Violet.
Man,
to be honest.
Crazy. I've beaten Sword and Shield 3 times. And each time I was like, God damn, this game is like playing through molasses. Like the pacing is ass.
The pacing
like
is really,
ass.
really bad.
It just is ass. But like I can understand.
I wish it was less railroady.
Yeah,
but that was my only problem with it.
That
was my biggest problem with it.
Yeah, I think, dude. And then Pal World came in and they're like, they crack their knuckles. They go, let me show you how it's done. Let me show you how to innovate on a. And then now they're competing with Pokemon, which is crazy. So
yeah,
I love that take. I think it's hot in the sense that like, you know, it's not controversial.
Everybody's just angry about it.
It's hot. It's a spicy take because everybody's feeling it, and you just said it. So I think that's a good type of hot take. We just invented a new type of hot take, which we didn't, but you know what I mean.
The angry take.
Yeah. Man.
The collective anger take. Let's do we have a lot of people in chat right now. Let's do a chat check real quick.
Right. Oh, Chaz, what's up, dude? Thanks for showing up, bud. So Chaz is...
Good to see Chaz in the chat. All right, so we had some Dune talk while we were starting out. 666. Yeah, they were talking about the grinding in Pokemon, especially in the early handheld games, kind of sucking.
Yeah, it is bad. And hold on. I want to make sure... I don't want to be wrong about this. When was the EXP share introduced?
I want to say it was Gen 5.
Oh, so according to the Pokemon Wiki, it was Generation 2 because you trade the Red Gyarados scale for it.
Oh yeah. But that's only the individual. That's the held item.
Yeah.
That's not the total party EXP.
Wait a minute. Is it? Is it? It is a held item, right?
It's a held item, but it's not total party.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's only for one mon.
Living problems in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. I would say so. In later games, grinding is not as difficult. That's true. Because the game does it for you. You know, with the...
Say it one more time.
So, Ghost says, to be honest, I don't think I've ever had leveling problems in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Thank God. I have, but if you didn't, I'm happy for you. So...
I think that the pacing in Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald is some of the best... This might be a hot take, actually. Is some of the best Pokemon game pacing.
1000%.
Like, where they place you, how many... They did an incredible job of in between gym leader to gym leader.
Yes.
Pacing you with the exact right amount of trainers and potential encounters in grass that you needed to have in order to level up at least a handful of your Pokemon enough to at least compete at the gym. And maybe there's a little bit of grinding. But whereas in old Pokemon, like in I would say Gen 2, actually, there's a lot of grinding that you have to do.
Gen 2 grinding
the majority of that game is grinding, actually.
Gen
and it's also the longest
game.
game.
Balancing is
all
dog shit.
Kind of fucked.
It's a great game, but like in the post game, you're like, oh, this Pokemon's level 36, so it's a Wartortle, and I've got level 45 Typhlosion. Like, come on. Yeah. So, also Chaz says, completely unrelated, that shirt is fire, Brooks. Yeah, you can go to hell. I'm going to Toyotathon.
Yeah.
I love that. I've worn it
Show
live.
it to the people, Brooks. Spread it out.
So careful what you ask for. But I've worn this live with a band called Love 2, and I have a lot of other meme shirts that, like, whenever we start playing shows again, like, I'm just going to show up and be a menace. So that's so real. Gelatin is so real. I love that, dude.
Bro.
I love that. I have played through Sword and Shield multiple times, and I love it. Ghost is a better man than me because I played through Sword and Shield 3 times. He probably plays it better than I do, though.
I vibe with Sword and Shield. I think Sword and Shield, if you actually take Sword and Shield, you make it less railroady and make this. I mean, the story is kind of corny, so if you make the story aspect of it a little better, where they at the end they aren't basically like, hey, here's a massively overpowered Pokemon that you just get. Here's 2 overly powered Pokemon that you just have. That's kind of whack a little bit. Like, it didn't take a lot to get them.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that was a little different, but
Chloe says that's so real. The gelatin is so real. And then they say, but it's so real because my interest in Pokemon has diminished a bit. I used to rush to buy the games and DLC. Now I just don't know. And then Ghost, I love Ghost so much. He's so funny. He goes, Versus Seeker sucks. I'm like, but you know, that's funny. God, Ghost has been a homie for a long time.
Ghost is anti-books.
Yeah, he's anti-books. But anyway, let's do like a whole total shift into the next hot take for me.
Yeah,
so
sure.
we're switching from Pokemon to FromSoft because that's what else do I know?
Yep.
If y'all been watching my channel for a while, wait, you didn't give yours, but you had the conversation. Did that count?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
My hot take? Yeah, my hot take
I was just making sure I didn't like. Okay.
No, my hot take was that Game Freak needs to be taken out back to the freaking shed.
Oh my god. Damn it. I'm going to have a lot of fun doing the shorts for this one. Anyways, but yeah, so, and the only reason I say that out loud is to give me a memory of like where it is. So, anyway, that's fucking amazing, Andrew. But anyways, so my next hot take, this might actually be a hot take. Okay. I think the whole concept of blind runs in like FromSoft games and Souls likes sucks. I do not like doing anything blind because my argument is really dumb. Life is challenging enough
Why are you playing a Souls game?
Because if you know what's going to happen, you can control the variables to your success.
Says the guy who loves FromSoft games.
Yeah, you know why? Because I fucking cheat. Because I look shit up. That's why. Because, okay, here's my argument. So let's say you've never played a Souls game before and you're like, oh, I'm going to hop into Dark Souls.
I am one of those. I've never played a Souls game before.
Mm-hmm. So like, Andrew, if I were to hand you Dark Souls the first time around and I was like, here, jump into this completely blind, right? Don't look anything up. Don't know anything. You're going to have a bad time. And yeah, I do understand. Dr. Deathwish especially would disagree with me, but they have a different taste of an approach to video games that I do, which is totally cool.
Which is fair.
They love the challenge, right? They love the challenge of discovery, of finding things out on their own, of learning things. I'm one of those people. I am lazy. Like, I'll admit it. Like, and when I don't know where to go, I get super frustrated because what I want to experience in a video game is the core gameplay. It's the same thing when I played Dragon's Dogma. I literally was like, all right, where do I go next? Where do I go next? I just want to kill shit. I just want to stab things. I just want to kill monsters. I just want to do this. What do I do next? Where do I go? And like, I watched Asmongold play Elden Ring when it came out, and he was the same way. He's like, because he does a lot of his stuff live and blind, which totally respect that because I can't do it anymore. I've tried and I can't do it. I really...
You get too mad.
I proved that with Half-Life. Like, I can't do that anymore.
Start
like
raging into your game.
I was so mad. But he's like, it stresses me out when I don't know where to go, and it frustrates me even more. So I'm the same way. I'm like, if I want to know where to go next, I'll look it up because I don't care. And maybe that's like a spoiled new generation of gamer type deal, because I think about people that grew up in the 80s that played like Zelda for the first time. Like, that game is cryptic as hell. Arguably a little more cryptic than like modern games. And then you have like Nintendo Power, word of mouth and stuff like that. And like just trying new things and like less resource. You didn't have the internet. So if you were stuck, you just had to figure it out.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have beaten the Marios and like the Castlevanias of that time, but I probably wouldn't have beaten like the Final Fantasies or the Zeldas. You know what I mean?
Zelda 1 is complicated without a plan.
I have 100% of that game personally, but with a guide, obviously, because I'm not crazy.
But that's what I mean. Like, imagine doing that. Think about how complex that game is for what the time was. And then think about doing that just like knowing nothing going in.
Oh, hell no.
That's crazy.
What's that Family Guy thing where he's like, oh, hell no, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
No, dude, I such respect the people who can do that and figure it out, but like
stuff,
sorry, I'm crusty. But just like the whole idea of a blind soul, because like what I love about FromSoft games and the Souls games and like Bloodborne and Elden Ring is the combat, is fighting the bosses, is the lore, is the world. Also, slight hot take, I hate PvE because PvE is annoying as shit. Especially when you're like, because player versus environment. So it's like when you're running through the worlds. Like if I'm going through Blighttown, that is not a good time. But if I know where to go and I know how to run through and run past the enemies, it's okay. You know, but if I don't know, I'm going to sit there and just hack away at enemies. And then I rest at a bonfire. They all come back. And that's part of it, you know, but
sure.
My favorite parts of a Souls game is the combat, is building your character, maxing out a build that you want. I also never play new games, like New Game Plus or anything like that. I'm very averse to it. So maybe all my hot takes are just FromSoft. But like New Game Plus 1 and 2, that helps out like sorcery builds and like incantation or faith build. But I'm like pure unga bunga strength. I'm just, you know, I'm a bad. If people were like, you're a bad player for that, that kind of goes into my last take for today, I would accept that. I'm like, yeah, and I still whoop the game's ass. So eat mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've beaten Elden Ring like 4 times. So lick my crack. What
and a lot
like,
of people can't beat it once. I would say, I would argue like 70% of people haven't beaten it once.
Yeah, I use the mimic tier, and like, who cares? Yeah, I use summons.
Yeah,
eat shit. It's in the game.
Built in the game.
Oh my god! But yeah, that's sort of my thing. Is like, I don't really like the whole blind run thing. The things that make those games great for me and my play style. Totally not wrong to experience those games that way. Like, all jokes aside, it's totally valid to experience those games like that. For me and the type of gamer that I am, I'm impatient, I'm lazy, but I do appreciate what is there that I do love, like the combat, the character creation, the lore, the world design. That I can much better enjoy the world if I know where everything is and know how it's laid out and know where things are and just have everything in my brain all at once. So, yeah. Eli, I know Eli said, get your Bloodhound step ready. That's so funny. But anyway, yeah, that's my second hot take. Feel free to toss yours out there.
So I have one, but I'm not sure if I want to make it my last one. I'm going to make it my last one and go a slightly different route, which is, and this isn't really a hot take in my opinion. This is like kind of a whatever take in my opinion, but
that's fine.
I think that anyone got mad about Baldur's Gate winning Game of the Year has never played Baldur's Gate.
That's a good one.
Has never played
Let's see. I'm going to look up. You keep talking. I'm going to look up the Game of the Year nominees because I remember a few of them.
Lies of P was one of them.
Is it 2023?
Spider-Man was the big one that people were pissed about. Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
They were livid about the fact that Spider-Man didn't win. Literally, if you are pissed that Baldur's Gate, and arguably also a technically non-AAA studio.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Created Baldur's Gate 3 and won Game of the Year. That's an incredible feat.
Right. Yeah. So the thing is about Baldur's Gate, Andrew just started playing it recently, and he was telling me about it the other day, and he loves it.
I've been a fan. I've been watching gameplay of it since it came out. Mm-hmm. It's just I've only been able to play it recently.
Yeah. So for context,
only on Mac recently.
I'm totally going to speak for you. Andrew is a large D&D enjoyer.
Yes.
And he loves fantasy like I do. Like we're both fantasy geeks. We love all that kind of stuff. So Baldur's Gate is basically like somebody went into a lab and made a game perfect for Andrew and just gave it to him.
Well, and there's a lot of people like me that enjoy those kind of games, but I will add on to that and say this game did something so well without charging $80 for the game.
That's true. That's what I was going to say. You know what's crazy about Baldur's Gate 3 is that it's not an early access. Everything is in the game for
They're creating updates for it for free constantly.
Yeah, it is the DaVinci Resolve of fantasy games. You buy it one time and it updates for life for free. Yep. Even if it was, let's say the game was $80. I feel like people would pay $80 for a quality experience that gets updated. Like if they had DLC that came out for free after you did that, that's a no-brainer.
I have a friend who has beaten Baldur's Gate, and it took him not trying to speed run it, but but not being slow either, kind of casually.
Yeah, just like dedicating
him a solid 150 to 180 hours to beat the game.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And that for what, $60 for $50 is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's an insane value for the amount of gameplay that you get. And he immediately went, all right, cool. I'm gonna make a new character and replay it as a totally different type of character.
Yeah.
Now. And I'm gonna redo different builds for everybody now. It's amazing. I want to check chat because people are talking about D&D. So for those that don't know, he mentioned it before, but I'm a big D&D guy. Mm-hmm. I love playing D&D. I play it every week. I have a game that I play as a character in, and then I also run D&D games as well. And for those that have never played Baldur's Gate or are into D&D, and so for both sides, if you're into D&D and you've never played Baldur's Gate, it's basically D&D the video game in every facet of the way, except you only get up to level 12 instead of in a normal D&D game you can go up to level 20. If you've played Baldur's Gate and you love it and you love the gameplay aspect and how it moves and how the dice rolls kind of affect stuff, and how you can like build characters to be really good at specific things and have a great party balance dynamic and all that kind of stuff, you will love Dungeons and Dragons. And it is basically playing with your friends in real life the game of Baldur's Gate, just
That's
in
amazing.
Whatever campaign you want. It's amazing.
I need to get Baldur's Gate 3 eventually and play it with you. I would love to stream it with you. I think
we're definitely gonna do a stream one of these days. Probably once I beat it myself.
We'll take a week off from the podcast and just do an all-day Baldur's Gate 3 stream. That would be crazy.
Because the thing is there is really specific things that you're gonna want to do, and it's probably, and I know you hate going in blind, and so it'll actually be better if I know.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm creatively, I'm a bottom.
Navigate.
Tell me what to do. Like, I don't like to figure things out. I'm a facilitator. I love when people tell me exactly what to do. But let's go ahead and read chat before our last one. That's a good take. So the other nominees were like Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, and then Baldur's Gate beat 2 Nintendo titles.
Which is crazy. And not only 2 Nintendo titles, a Mario title and a Zelda title.
I know.
Which is crazy. That's insane. Deservedly so, in my opinion. Now, Alan Wake 2 deserved the, I think it got best design.
Yeah.
100% deserved, by the way, because the sound and the design in that game is crazy.
Yeah.
I want to play Alan Wake 2 so bad because it looks, and the score and all the sound design work in that game is just beautiful.
Yeah.
So from like a music nerd perspective.
So funny enough, with my NVIDIA, I bought like a new video card. I have a free copy of Alan Wake 2 just in my emails. So I just need to redeem the code and get it.
Yeah, dude, you should definitely play that. You should stream that 100%.
Dude, Alan Wake, I've seen a little bit of Alan Wake 1 gameplay, and like there's a guy, shout out to Genji, I think it's pronounced Genji. He does a lot of like video essay analysis on video games. He's done the Souls series. He's also done like Alan Wake. He's done BioShock. Yeah. He's done just a bunch of games, like a bunch of really amazing games that he's done. And I love his style. I love those are the kind of people that eventually I'd love to try and get on the podcast, just to pick their brain and be like, oh my God, like just to hype them up for an hour would be enough for me. But anyway, let me read chat. Chaz says, creatively I'm a bottom. That's getting clipped. Yes, that's so true though.
Yes, please.
The Mario title was nonsense for being nominated.
Agreed, Eli, because that game came out like 2 weeks before nominees were dropped.
Yeah, that's just like here, you know,
yeah,
like Tears of the Kingdom wasn't enough. Yeah. You know,
yeah, it's like here's the Mario game.
Also, okay, Josh B, dude, what's up? Long time no see. That's true. So this is a podcast that I'm doing with my friend Andrew, and we do it every Monday. We try to shoot for 10:30 a.m. EST, but you know,
I was a little late.
Yeah, we were gonna do this actually live today in my room, but things didn't work out, and but that's okay. We'll do it eventually. But
so let me read some of these Baldur's Gate 3 D&D things. For all the people that played Baldur's Gate 3 and thought of playing D&D, it screwed them up hard though because it doesn't follow the core rules of D&D. So Ghost, that is, I think, technically true. But I do know that a lot of the things that they implemented into Baldur's Gate 3 is changing in the new core rules in D&D when they update to 1 D&D. At least some of it is. And then there are also some things, honestly, like there are some things I would argue that Baldur's Gate 3 does better than the core rules of D&D. There are some aspects of what they implemented is just better. Like so here's a really hyper specific, but if you choose the thief rogue subclass, right, that is it doesn't really break the game, but it makes that subclass awesome. That subclass was made in 2014 originally for the original D&D uh 5th edition, and it's okay. It's kind of boring. It does its thing. It's got this thing called fast hands that allows you to do extra stuff with your bonus action. What it does in Baldur's Gate 3 is it just gives you 2 bonus actions, which is a better use of that ability, in my opinion, because then it allows you to do things like, oh, I want to attack with my action and then dash with my bonus action, but then I also want to use my bonus action to attack again. So it gives you the ability to do that. Or if I'm a rogue, now I can attack 3 times, which not a lot of classes get the ability to attack 3 times. Yes, it's lower damage, but for a rogue, you're not doing but 1d4 per attack anyway. Or 1d6 maybe if you have like a short sword, but your sneak attack is what you're going for, and you can only do that once per turn anyway. So it doesn't really matter because as a rogue, you're aiming for more instances of potentially getting that sneak attack in. I know that's very nerdy and very specific, but for those that understand both D&D and Baldur's Gate, that's kind of like there's a very good instance of what Baldur's Gate did better than the actual D&D rules.
That's cool. I like hearing you talk about it. So
yeah, it's super. There's a lot of stuff I think that they're kind of taking from each other as far as some of the rules that they're doing, and the new 1D&D stuff is about to come out, which is so Brooks, for you that isn't a D&D deep person, so they made 5th edition, which is like the most recent edition of Dungeons and Dragons, like rules and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that came out in like 2012 or 2014. They're doing essentially what would be D&D 6th edition, but they're calling it 1D&D. And they're making it modular. Which is kind of cool. So what they're going to be able to do is this is going to release. It's supposed to release at some point this year, but what they're going to be able to do is essentially create constant updates, almost like DLC, but for free. Constant updates to the core rules as the game kind of ebbs and flows, and it makes it a little bit more malleable. It's kind of nice. There's potential downfalls to some stuff as far as changing rules too rapidly.
Almost like there's a little bit more control over like
there is.
So if something does go wrong, you can kind of sort of like
you can tweak it. Exactly. Yeah. But to be honest, a lot of that stuff happens at the table anyway, because it's at the DM's discretion to fully allow or fully negate rules. Like a DM can say, hey, we're just not going to do this rule, or hey, I'm going to change this rule to be this rule. Or you can have like at the table homebrew rules.
Yeah.
Ghost, if you want to read through 1D&D, I believe that there is, if you go to their website, if you go to the D&D Beyond website, I believe that there is they've been doing playtest modules of the 1D&D stuff. So you can kind of check out some of the new stuff. They changed a lot. They changed every class and most of the subclasses at this point, which is pretty sick to see some of the stuff. They made monk significantly better.
That's awesome.
They made paladin crazy good still.
I wonder. So paladin's more like kind of a faith.
Yeah,
sword
paladin
guy.
is I'm gonna kill you with this sword in God's name.
It's usually your paladin build.
They use big sword, big armor, and they can use some magic too.
I feel like that's what I would kind of go for if I was playing D&D.
I feel like you'd be a barbarian.
Definitely.
Barbarian is I get angry and hit people with big stick.
Barbarian is my spirit animal, but if I was trying to play like super serious, legit, paladin would be great. But yeah, barbarian is that, like any sort of, hey, big damage, boonk. You know what I mean? Like,
Chaz, they did buff monks. Yes, they did. He said they buff monks. Damn, I never thought I'd see the day. They did buff monks. It doesn't mean they're playable to level 20. They did make them more playable. You will still want to probably multi-class out around like level 10. and get some other stuff to like balance your build. But yeah, bro, you get me talking about D&D. I can nerd out about some D&D.
Oh, dude, yeah, like Andrew is the guy.
Somebody said, now I want a podcast episode of Drew just teaching Brooks D&D.
Dude,
we can do that.
Okay.
We can do that.
All right.
We can do that.
Ask and you shall receive.
Listen, here's what we'll do. I will get Brooks the core rules, and we will talk through the core rules, and we will build Brooks a character.
I'll edit an 80s montage of me.
We will build Brooks a character on stream / on podcast, and then I will put together a game with some friends, and we will play a game of D&D for the podcast.
That would be crazy on
stream.
We'll both write a song, like an 80s montage of like, it's learning D&D. It's trying to learn all the rules of D&D. That would be awesome.
And for everybody else that hasn't been interested into D&D or like wants to kind of see how easy it is and learn the rules, you can kind of learn alongside Brooks.
That's cool.
I'll have to explain it kind of unga bunga for Brooks to understand.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's like, you have to explain everything to me like I'm a toddler anyways, because my brain is like that big. But anyways, so I'll hop into the last take.
Yeah.
Because this one is more of a universal, I think, like you said before, like a lukewarm take, but I'm very passionate about how I feel about this.
Yep.
There is no, how do I want to phrase this? I think, generally speaking, there is no incorrect way to play and enjoy a video game. Because there are so many gatekeepers and so many different type. For example, in Pokemon and FromSoft, let me just use the two franchises that we talked about mainly today. So Pokemon, people are like, oh, you use items, use X items, use full restores, use hyper, like in battle. And I'm like, yeah, they put them in the game for that reason. Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna be super honest. I love Pokemon with all of my heart. It is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I have deep nostalgia for it, and I've played, I think, almost every game barring like some of the middle, gens. Playing Pokemon regularly with like, not even on a competitive way, but just like talking. I don't like playing Pokemon with other people, because other people are that way about Pokemon.
Yep.
So bad.
Yeah. And it's just, and like FromSoft fans are assholes sometimes. Like if you, because FromSoft
fans are bad too. It's one of the reasons I haven't played a FromSoft game.
I am notorious. Look, I'm your biggest advocate for FromSoft, because I'm like, bro, if you find a way to beat Margit in the beginning, you beat him. I don't care how you beat him, So I'll use that as an example too. So FromSoft is like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, whatever. Sekiro is more of a refined way to do it. There's not really many ways to do it. Like you could beat Sekiro with just your sword and nothing else. Like but if you use the prosthetic and you use everything and you use the snap seeds and you use all that stuff, that's not wrong. It's in the game for a reason.
Yeah.
You don't have to be this like hardcore badass, like, oh, I beat the game without taking a hit. You don't have to be that way. There are people that do that. Like, let me solo her. That's the picture you sent me today. The guy with the jar on his head, that's the person that would like beat Melania without taking a hit. They're famous for that. There are people that have beaten the games in order without taking, like Gino Machino has beaten the game like multiple times without taking a hit. Like that's awesome. But you don't have to play that. You don't even have to be good at the games to win. The whole philosophy of a FromSoft game, and like Miyazaki, is like, it's there. Like, I put this really difficult challenge in front of you. Find a way to overcome it. That is the philosophy of that. And everybody's going to be different. And I talk about this all the time when I'm playing games. Like the people, this is not new to the people who watch my gaming streams, but like to the people who are hearing my voice for the first time, potentially, like there's no incorrect way. Like if you decide, hey, I'm going to beat Elden Ring level 1, no hit with a club. And that, if you can't do that, you're bad.
Go for it.
Like, I don't agree with that because that's not nice. But if that's the way you want to play, go for it. If you want to be overpowered like I do in every game that I play, I love being overpowered and just beating the shit out of things. And that's fun to me. I like using the mimic tier. I like shredding bosses. I don't, because, you know, Elden Ring is one of those games that's like the boss patterns, everything in the game is avoidable, right? But it's like, I don't want to put that level of investment into it because I don't care. I like being overpowered. I like shredding the bosses quickly. I like doing that because it's funny and that is entertaining to me. So people who, Taylor, shout out to Taylor. So Taylor actually started watching the podcast. So hell yeah. Hell. Anyways,
let's go.
But yeah,
Toyotathon.
But yeah, so I can't stand gatekeepy, like, oh, you're not playing this game the right way. You need to do it this way. You need to do it that way. You need to do it this way. And I'm like, fuck you. No.
Yeah.
So that is it's probably not a hot take, probably just an empathetic take, more or less. But there are fan bases like Pokemon, like FromSoft, probably even Baldur's Gate has a few. I don't know. Like
D&D has some gatekeepy kind of people for sure.
I mean,
it exists. They're
everywhere.
I would say it's less so nowadays than it used to be because D&D has become more widely like played as like a normal, game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you're not doing this hyper specific, break the game build. Oh, you're playing something less than optimal. Yeah, it's I don't know. I call that the unoptimized thing, which is fine. If you want to play unoptimized, that's dope.
Yeah, Ghost says Genshin.
Oh, Genshin
Impact is probably. I can only imagine.
Genshin is. I can imagine.
Oh,
bro.
Lord.
I don't even touch that game, dude. I don't even touch that game for that reason.
Chaz also said you'd be surprised how many people would call that a hot take, and I'm like, yep.
Well, that's sad.
I know. Just pure sad. Empathy. Pure empathy is a hot take. It's just gone downhill. So yeah, that's sort of like my philosophy on like. Generally about game, because look, there are nuanced examples. I'm sure like cheating in like esports, like that's a wrong way to play a game, but that's like common sense, like
But there are also rules set in place for esports. That's different.
I mean, if you're technically cheating in a video game, and that's fun to you, as long as you're not hurting anybody or yourself, it's like who cares, right? It's a video game.
Yeah.
I know people are passionate about video games. So it's like when people critique a movie, you're like, oh, it's just a movie. Who cares? I hate that argument because there are people that truly, deeply care about the art form. And that means a lot to 100%. Them. Like one man's trash is another man's treasure. So like, I respect how people appreciate their art forms. But at the same time, I'm like, at the end of the day, if somebody plays differently than you, that doesn't make them wrong. That just makes them different. So like if somebody if you enjoy the Marvel movies, but your friend is like, no, Marvel's trash. Like I don't watch any of the Marvel anything because it's bad filmmaking. Like, okay, like you can have that. You can that's totally fine. But let other people have their thing. So that's sort of where I stand on that. So Andrew's got a.
I like Josh's is cheating is just solving the problem quicker and smarter than anyone else.
Honestly, that's based as fuck.
Shouts to Josh, bro. That's based.
That's so based, man. There's that whole South Park episode where he's like, how am I going to reach these kids? And he's like, teaches them how to cheat.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Josh is just based for that. Stay in school, kids.
Stay in school.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right. So my last one. I have two actually. I thought of one while we were talking.
Good. This is good.
But I'll get it after I do my other one. Much like how nobody wants to see anime become live action, they need to can we please hold back on anime video games? Because so many of them are so bad. They're just not good. Like, they're not good fighting games. They're not good. Because a lot of them are like, like Street Fighter-esque or Tekken-esque, like 1v1 fighting games.
That's really interesting because, like, the only anime game that I've really played is Eyes of Heaven, the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure game, and that game is okay. It's not my favorite, but it's okay. But I totally know where you're coming from. Is like, this could be so much more than it
most
actually
of the One Piece
is.
games. I would say that the only game, there's a handful of games that are outside of this. One of which is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3.
Yeah.
It's a very specific game. One of the best. It is arguably one of the best fighting games in that genre. The other one was the Kakarot game. Who said that in chat? Eli said that in chat.
I gotta look up the one that
Kakarot was also dope. But I agree, Chaz, we don't need a million DBZ fighter games, number whatever, and all they do is just go through the same exact storyline that every other game has gone through.
I'm aware that the games are, like, generally poorly received, but I love Dragon Ball Z sagas. It's the one where you're, like, kind of semi-open world, but it's a little bit of a beat 'em up, and then you fight people that way. Like, that game is not great, but it is nostalgic for me. But with that being said,
and I think that's the thing.
I know exactly where you're coming from.
Nostalgia from the games. If you remove nostalgia from the games, they're not good games, right?
Nice.
Naruto Ninja Storm.
Oh, what is the one that I played?
There was a couple Naruto games that, like, I think some of them are okay, but they're not still not
talking.
great.
I have it. You keep talking.
There's a lot of
I'm gonna find. I know.
No, you're
exactly
good.
What I'm looking for.
Josh, you're asking about the Jump Force. I think that's what you're talking about, Josh.
I have Naruto Uzumaki Chronicles. That's what I have.
Nice.
That's old school. It's backwards, but but that also not the greatest experience.
Not greatest. Yeah, it's a kind of all mid games. I think Josh is mentioning Jump Force, Shonen Fight game. That game was okay. It was riddled with problems, and there was some camera issues. Basically, that game was the closest to being actually S tier if they would have fixed some problems, but they ran into a lot of licensing issues because they were licensing across like 30 different properties all at the same time. So it got shut down real quick. When it got big, it got shut down real quick. It was really sad because that game is awesome. But I would argue the majority of anime-related games are just kind of bad, if not at best they're mid with some nostalgia.
That sounds like a hot take because I'm sure there are people out there who's like, they would probably hear that and foam at the mouth, be like, but actually, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I'm impressed with your hot take. I'm impressed. That's a good one.
And
that's
you know what made me think about
here.
that? You know what that made me think about that one is I'm currently playing Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2.
Oh, okay.
Which is like it was the more recent Dragon Ball game to come out. And it's almost not a Dragon Ball game, at least where I'm at right now. It's actually like an RPG just based in the Dragon Ball world. You like build your own character. It's like you're not a character from the show. You're like on the Time Force or whatever. I mean, it seems fine. I'm gonna play it. I enjoy. The thing is, I have so much nostalgia for Dragon Ball. Like, I can throw on nostalgia glasses and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I know inherently that it's probably not going to be a good game. So.
Yep. God, I feel like we have enough now after we've talked about it for like a part 2.
Yeah, I have. Well, I'll give you my other one that I was excited. This is my number one.
Yeah.
And I kind of mentioned it a little bit. We're talking about our top games. It was, I think that Tears of the Kingdom is the perfected Zelda game.
Oh, that for me, that's a hot take, but you know how
that's a hot
take
for you. I know that's a hot take for you.
I think though.
if you take every aspect of Zelda and you put it into a game. So what are the aspects of Zelda? So let's think about that. A big adventure, right? So constant exploration, being able to find new places. Like that was even from day one, that was a part of the game, right? Dropping you into a place, not telling you anything about how everything works, and then just you having to figure it out along the way. It does that with a little bit of help, obviously, but there's like a lot of just figuring stuff out.
Right.
The ability, as it kind of went, it's, the storyline of the Ganon fights and Zelda and the lore behind the world that exists there. A creative twist in some capacity. And I mean, I would argue Tears of the Kingdom does that the best with the creative twist thing. And I don't know, the largeness. I'm a big fan of the adventure side of Zelda as well. So that is where that take comes in from me. I think it is the perfected version of what, at its essence, a Zelda game should be.
I think there's a lot of validity to that because, Tears of the Kingdom really proved to be like the shit, Yeah. Like it really. Half my YouTube shorts for a while was just dumb Tears of the Kingdom. No, yeah. Well, our buddy Carthu, shout out to Carthu, just dropped. He dropped the video of like, what is it called? It's Tears of the Kingdom, but doing everything wrong. Let's look it up. I'm
Tears of the Kingdom, but doing everything wrong.
Hold on, Carth.
I hope that's what it is.
TV. I think it's Carthu TV.
Hey, yeah. Ghost. The Minish Cap shot is a based AF take.
I love Ghost so much. Check this out. So he did. You would love this because this is the kind of stuff that I used to work on with him. Like,
why don't you show it a little bit to everybody?
Yeah. So, shout out to Carthu. I love him so much.
This out. Tears of the Kingdom gives the player the most creative freedom of any Zelda game. So I decided to abuse that freedom to solve every shrine on the Great Sky Island the wrong way, which is going to be pretty tough since
I love that you can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that you can do that. The creative freedom that you get inside that game, absolutely incredible. Also, shouts to Carthu.
Let's see if we can find one.
Ultra Hand. In theory, this will let us go wherever we want. Now that I have Ultra Hand, the Great Sky Island opened up to me instantly. I could go wherever
I love his editing too. I think.
Yeah, his editing is super good.
I don't know. Let me see who did this one.
Also, keep the language PG. Who the fuck are you to tell me that?
Oh, Slippy. Of course, Slippy did that. Slippy is amazing. Yeah. He's amazing.
And thinking that,
big fan of Carthu in this house because he loves all things Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball and Zelda, just like me.
That's like
yeah, these videos are really good too.
That's not me. Now, which one is this one? Okay, use Fuse to receive this shrine's blessing.
Let's see. So he'll.
All right.
Oh, I see. I would do something like this.
Yeah, this is some.
Is he gonna try to climb it, or he's gonna shoot to the top? Oh no, he does climb it.
He's gonna climb it.
I've done that.
All right, we'll just move this over here.
And then he moves it. I'm not the biggest Tears of the Kingdom fan, but I will say this. That part of the game is phenomenal, and I love doing stuff like this.
The ability to literally solve a puzzle any way you want by just launching yourself to the end if you want.
No, yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it's great. And I would do stuff like that where I would literally climb up things. I would make things and then shoot through the bottom of them and then just get to the top and like. Yeah. When I figured out you could do that with stone taluses, where they're like they have that like wooden board on them, and then you could shoot through the board and then hit it, and then shoot through the board again and hit him again. I was like, okay, that's amazing.
That's sick, right? Somebody was cooking in that Zelda development.
All right,
room,
so
man.
Any last thoughts? Any last things you want to throw in? This has been a really good episode. A little bit shorter than I think our last one was like 2 hours. This one's only been one.
This one's about an hour. This is about an hour, but that's kind of where. It's about where it needs to be. To be honest.
No, this is appropriate. This has been a good episode. So any final thoughts? I guess I'm pretty good. Like I'm satisfied with the conversations. Like there's been a lot of good takes. Maybe a few spicy ones, but like nothing really out of the. I don't think anybody's gonna be like knocking down our door with a cease and desist. So
I mean, they might with me with that Pokemon take about.
Oh, possibly. Yeah, Game Freak shows up and they're like, "Hey, man, shut the hell up."
Yeah, trying to keep my job. No, I mean, I can't think of anything. I'm excited to keep playing Baldur's Gate.
Yep.
I'm gonna enjoy the heck out of that, and we're gonna chat. We're gonna work on that D&D thing that we talked about.
That would be cool. That's more of like a couple months out sort of deal.
Oh yeah,
but
it'll be a while before we can do that.
That would kind of, it would be even more insane. Just talking about ideas is I think that like. When we debut, like, so the whole point of us streaming on my channel first is to kind of build the audience and then transition it to the other channel. So what if the first major event on the other channel was the D&D saga?
The game. Kind of like, oh yeah, we could do that.
Like
that'd be so
like
fun.
A month-long like, okay, we're debuting just the solo podcast channel, but the whole month is just a D&D saga of Brooks learning how to do it and then being part of the game. That would be sick.
That would be so sick. That would be so sick.
It still sucks. Ghost is awesome.
Yeah, Ghost is coming for you, bro.
Yeah,
Ghost
dude. But anyways, I'm good if you're good.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much for listening to Things We Like. If you want to see this and you missed it on the live, you can rewatch it on Brooks' channel every Monday at roughly 10:30 to 11. We'll start. And then if you want to check out the VOD, go check out at Things We Like Pod. Also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Things We Like Pod. We love you, and we'll see you. Brooks, take us away.
Yep. Love you guys. We'll see y'all next week with something silly again. Be good. Don't be mean. Don't gatekeep. There you go. That's the advice for today. Love you guys. Bye.